One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? 7 days. We're back again for another episode of Dominant Effect. I'm March Bishop. We got Mike Ball, Aaron Olinger. What's up, everybody? Glad you were able to click in with us tonight. We got another interesting show that we're going to put out, a lot of information that we're going to share, and hope everybody at the end of this get something out of it to be able to not only use for yourself, but be able to share with your friends, family, loved ones, and all that, because at the end of the day, the only thing we're going to have here is ourselves. And the more that we communicate with each other and pass on information that we are, hopefully we can all make it through whatever it is that they got planned for us safely. But before we get started, I think Aaron, I don't know what happened to Aaron. He's going to jump back in a minute.
It's one of those glitches.
Yeah. But before we get started, everybody hit that like button, if you would. That way that'll get us on the proper algorithm and be able to get this out to as many people as possible. We're trying to hit, we're looking at the numbers. I'm going to try to hit 100,000 by December. We're about halfway there. We're a little over 51. I'm gonna try to hit 100,000 by December. So, like, follow, share, subscribe, pass it on to your friends. Do whatever you need to do, because this message needs to get out to everybody. So tonight, I don't want to just talk about the ships that was hit the other day. I'm not just talking about that. I want to talk about what those ships actually represent, because when those ships got hit, oil moved different. And when oil moves different, prices move different. When those prices started moving, families suffer. And as a part of that, a lot of the mainstream media is not telling us everything that we need to know about what this really entails. The real war isn't just about what's going on out there in that water. A lot of this is going to affect our wallets, our jobs, your food, your rent, your future. All of this is going to come into part. And one of the other things that goes along with that is, when you think about this whole crisis as a whole, it's not always about oil. It's not about the nukes either. This is about a manufactured energy crisis, and it's global. This isn't just in one spot. It's affecting every single person in this world. Some way, shape, form, or fashion is going to affect everyone. And the strait, of course, is the key, because if you block that strait, instant energy crisis. And what happens after that energy crisis? There's a lot of things that can come into play that we're going to talk about later on. I'm not going to jump the gun on that, but there's a lot at stake here, and it's not just whether we're going to go to war or whether a ship getting hit out in the Persian Gulf. This is about the lives of everyday people and what they're going to be having to go through here in the next couple of months, because it's going to get worse than what it is right now. And a lot of you that's getting gas all the time, of course, you already see it at the pump. It's getting crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's rough.
It's slowly increasing by the day. So like I said before, this isn't just about Iran. It's about what happens when this system that we use every day, fuel, flights, groceries, shipping jobs, marketing, insurance, and also debt, all get squeezed at the same time. And I've been watching a lot of the mainstream media outlets for the past week, which I do. And I kind of watch both sides to try to see, you usually get the same story, just get two different opinions on the story. So I kind of bounce around on that. And it gives people headlines, but it doesn't actually tell you the ramifications of what's really going on here. So what happens when these ships is bigger than the military headline? When these ships start getting hit, delayed, rerouted, escorted through dangerous waters, that means the world supply itself is no longer moving normally. And when that supply chain stops moving normally, the pain doesn't just stay overseas. It comes to the gas pumps, to your grocery stores, your airline tickets, your job, your rent, your retirement accounts, 401ks, crypto, stocks, everything gets
Insurance.
affected. So the Strait of Hormuz matters because this is one of the world's most critical oil choke points. And reports today described U.S. operations to reopen and secure these shipping lanes, kind of like it's like a cat and mouse game right now. You have one side saying that we're actually in talks. You got the other side saying, no, we're not talking about anything. It's a whole lot of back and forth. And there's been several studies that's been coming out that says that it's just a matter of weeks, that if nothing is actually done dealing with this, that it's going to cause major issues. So we're gonna jump into a little bit of everything tonight, and hopefully we can put some explanation to some things and be able to kind of get a broader understanding as to exactly what's going on out there and how this is really going to influence you, because it is going to influence you. So, Aaron, I'm gonna let you start off.
Okay, well, I'm going to start off with a quote from Larry Fink, the guy that owns, he runs BlackRock, and BlackRock maintains over $11 trillion. He basically said recently that if a deal is not made soon, there will be a consequences due to the uncertainty. He made reference to that confidence will break and money will follow. Today's system is not built on hard assets like gold. It's built on confidence. I mean, when people invest money, they invest money with the confidence they feel that they're going to get a return. So once confidence is broken, cracks form in the markets, and the people at the top will see see those cracks first. He says that the global economies will have a chain reaction in the next 4 weeks if a deal is not made. So he's making reference that something has to be done now before it's too late and we get too far down the road to where it's not fixable. Now, if Mike, if you don't mind, put up picture one for me, please. I mean, this war is larger than just Iran. China is involved. If you look at the Panama Canal, we took that back. We had to send our military in. It was some quiet operations, but China was about to take that over, and we ran them up out of there. Now we're in the Strait of Hormuz. And if you look at that, you know the situation there. We have that blockaded. We're stopping all oil from coming out of there. And if you go down to the lower right, you see something called the Strait of Malacca. What that strait is we just recently negotiated a deal with Indonesia for some technology, some weapons and things, and they're going to let us bring our Navy in there and I guess maybe some bases. And if any oil got past the Strait of Hormuz and was going to China, with us being able to block that Strait of Malacca, nothing would get through. And people may wonder, well, why is China important? Why are they relevant? Let me give you a little background. In 2021, China and Iran signed a 25-year agreement called the Comprehensive Partnership Agreement. What that was is it covered technology, economy, and security. China committed to investing $400 billion into Iran's infrastructure. I mean, that is a super major investment. Iran agreed to supply China with heavily discounted oil for 25 years. Now, China gets cheap oil, Iran gets economic survival, because when Trump was first in office, he broke Iran's back. That's when Iran evolved and started using proxies. But their economy was almost broken when he went out of office. And Iran needed that economic security. They needed that $400 billion thing. That's like somebody shooting somebody up with an adrenaline shot to get them back up and moving. China imports 5.4 million barrels of oil per day through the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran controls. Now, China's entire industrial economy runs on oil, and the majority of it comes through that strait. Now, if any oil gets past that strait, then that Strait of Malacca would be the upper place to choke it off at. Now, what Iran did by signing this, they created a strategic dependency of China upon Iranian oil. 25 years, cheap oil, and then they was going to get oil from Venezuela. But we done stepped on their necks on this because they tried to take out our money system. So we put pressure back on them. Right now, China has two options that they can roll with. Option one, if China does nothing and watches us defeat Iran, they lose that $400 billion investment. And they're not going to be able to afford to do that. China also loses the 25-year cheap oil deal. It also loses the Belt and Road Initiative corridor that they built in the last 3 or 4 years. And they're making, I believe it's $3 trillion a year off of that trade route. and we took Iran out, which that was the linchpin that held that together. So either way it goes, China gets pulled into this deeper. Now, but if China chooses to help support Iran, China provides weapons, technology, and support. We already see that. They even lend them a satellite recently so that they could better target our bases that were sitting in other countries. Also, if the support escalates, China runs the risk of a confrontation with the United States. So Iran was smart. They signed this deal. They knew it would make a dependency upon them for oil from China and would leave China having to slowly be drawn into this war the way the Israelis drew us in on their end. So this was just a good play overall. Now, right now, the U.S. is doing what is called escalation dominance. And basically what that is some of you may have heard the peace through superior firepower theory. That is, I've got so much firepower on my side that anytime you hit me, I'm going to hit you back even harder and much heavier than what you did to me. And every time you do it, I'm going to hurt you even worse. And what you're hoping is the side that attacks you, you're hoping that they look at how high you could go with your firepower and the dominance you could put against them, and that they'll slowly either step down or they would stop totally. Now, what Iran is using is what is called escalation control. And they're doing it through this ceasefire that's going on. And that basically says, I don't need to match you at every level of the fight. Instead, I can control when and where escalation occurs, which is the art of war, according to Sun Tzu. And I'll keep you guessing and off balance. I make sure every escalation by you costs you more than it costs me. And we see that going on. But let me stop there for right now.
I think the real power that's going on right now isn't just about the biggest military and who it's a it seems that way. But we see what this is going on well over 60 days now, that it's not just about the military. Personally, I think it's about who controls the energy, the shipping lanes, the refineries, the pipelines, the ports, the insurances. Because without energy, this is the key thing with all that. Without the energy, everything slows down. Trucks don't move, ships don't move, planes don't fly, food doesn't get delivered, factories don't produce, families pay more. That's what a lot of this stuff is going through. You know what I mean? Now you take out what's going on in Iran and what's going on around the Strait, and you apply this to what's going on in all these other countries that's actually, oil stricken right now, to where they only have a matter of days, some matter of weeks of supply left because of what's going on over there. So it's kind of like it's a hidden agenda that's going on right now, and it's all based about who can control what. You know what I mean? Now, when you was talking about China and then being able to block off the other strait to keep China from getting the oil or whatever, my question to you is, do you think by doing that, doesn't that put more of a, how can they put it? You think that's putting more of a extra chance of getting China more involved with what's going on, other than what they're already doing by doing that?
I would say yes.
You kind of adding more fuel to the fire.
Most definitely. I mean, the media sees and propagates us that China is our enemy. China's not our enemy. They're our rival.
Right.
When we were at war with Germany, we didn't trade with Germany. Same way with Korea, same way with Vietnam. And seeing that we're still trading with China, even though we're having a trade war and a currency war, uh, they are our rival basically. Now, because of what we're doing, China this past week decided to sell off a bunch of our treasuries. They start selling off American debt like it was popcorn at a movie. I mean,
Who's
they
buying?
yeah,
Japan?
Japan. Gosh, I can't think all right off the top of my head, but there were some other people that were buying, but they were trying to counter us back, and because we're definitely putting them in a hurt locker right now. Mike, if you don't mind, put a
Sure.
picture 4, please.
You got it.
Okay. What this is just showing that the fuel crisis and what's going on. There's certain countries, as you can see, that are practically rationing gas right now because they're running out. Europe's running out. I mean, they're running out of jet fuel. Diesel's higher now. Gas is higher. These countries that don't produce oil and they need it, they got no other choice but to buy this expensive stuff, and it's rocking their economies. And what they can't afford to buy has to be rationed. I mean, if I was buying $100 worth of something and now all I can buy is $60 worth of it, well, I got to charge more for it and I got to ration it to make it spread out to everybody. But this is how serious that this is getting. And Mike, if you don't mind, put a picture 2, please.
Sure. And also, quick question before I do,
Okay.
because I'm noticing India and Bangladesh there. India was a big, they were importing from Iran, right? That's where
Yeah.
they got their oil, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. You said number 2?
2, please. Yes.
Okay, here it is.
Okay. Iran's relevance is only going to be relevant for so long. That deal the Saudis wanted to make to us that was a lucrative deal. This is the pipeline that they want to build. It will circumvent both the Strait of Hormuz and it will circumvent the Suez Canal, which is controlled by Egypt. Egypt makes major money off the Suez Canal. Now, the countries that are currently involved in what we're doing here is Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain. They're all involved with the petrodollar agreement. So these pipelines is going to extend over to them, and they're going to send that oil down. It's going to cut down through Israel to their port, which is real close to Gaza. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't go through the outer edge of
It
Gaza.
almost looks like it on this map.
It
Anyways.
does. It does, don't it? And once that goes into place, they don't need the Suez Canal no more. They will not need the Strait of Hormuz. So Iran's relevance is only going to be for so long. Plus, you can go ahead and take that down. Plus, right now, Iran is exporting 1.5 million barrels a day, and it must be shipped from Iran. Oil can rot and it can solidify
Absolutely,
if it sits too long. And if a well gets shut down, because Iran is currently running out of storage space. In fact, they're running out of it so bad they're trying to fill up the ships that are in their ports with it just to get it out.
Well, it
right
damages
now,
the infrastructure, right?
right.
Right.
So once you shut a well down, it gets depressurized. There's no guarantee that that well can be restarted after you're shutting it down. And then it could take up to a year to restart that well once you shut it down. Plus, when you restart it, if it was producing, say, 1,000 barrels a day, it may only produce 200. So you don't want to shut that well down. You want to keep it moving. Crude oil, after it sits in those storage tanks, after a while, it begins to separate like gasoline does. Your thick chemical substance they make asphalt out of goes to the bottom.
Yep.
And after 2 months, that stuff thickens up and then begins to separate. So right now, Iran is on a timeline. When Trump said, okay, let's do a ceasefire for 2 weeks, he was burning their time out that they had. They just lost 2 weeks of that 2-month period. Now that they're running out of storage space, they got to move that stuff before it solidifies and before they have to shut their wells down. That's the reason why Iran is willing to come back to the negotiating table and say, "Hey, I'm willing to talk, but you got to drop that embargo you got on us, that blockade. You got to drop that, and we'll come back to the table." They know that they're on borrowed time at this point. But I'll stop there for right now.
No, you're very right about that, Aaron. This is definitely where the pressure has now been, re-put. Originally the pressure was put on us with the whole blocking the strait, and then when we came in and blocked the ports from, any imports or exports, primarily export, that definitely put a massive pressure onto them now. So absolutely.
Now I seen on a couple of things earlier during the week where they had convoys of trucks and trains,
Yeah.
trying to take oil from from one location to the next. And they showed like this mountain range, and it was so many trucks that they were literally just cramped up. You know what I mean? They were 12, 13 rows deep, everybody trying to go through this mountain range with this oil. Now, so yeah, I see what you mean about, that they're trying to keep from having to shut it down. So they're going through other measures for that. But let me ask you a question, Aaron and Mike. Would you pull up that picture too? Okay, so what you have here is this pipeline already in existence, or is this something that they're talking about building?
Now the Saudis have theirs up, but the offshoots that are going to the other places,
Like through Jordan and through Israel,
yeah,
and through Qatar, to Qatar and all of the Persian Gulf there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they still have to build it.
Yeah, the Saudis have it going up and going over to the Red Sea, which is to the left. But to finalize it to go the rest of the way, that was that deal that they're trying to make with us, and they were willing to pay for the whole thing if we punish Iran a little bit more, a little bit longer.
Okay, so I got two questions. Okay, now I know part of this pipeline through Saudi Arabia has already been done, and you have to, basically add on the rest of the pipeline to be able to go through, which that takes time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And time is what a lot of these countries don't have. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
like, by the time you actually build this or finish building it, which could take, a year,
Sure.
maybe longer, to actually build this pipeline. I mean, that's a lot to risk at that point.
Well, yeah, because it's not gonna solve the issue that we're going through right this second because of time, right? But what it will do is if Iran ever in the future wants to try to do this exact same ordeal, hold up hostage for the rest of the world with oil, well, then this is the byproduct. How we can pass it.
Yeah, they're
Right.
not going
I'm
to be
with you on
relevant.
that. I'm with you on that part. This is a futuristic thing. Like, okay, we can put this together to bypass this altogether. Just like they were talking about building another strait that would cut in between the Strait of Hormuz completely out. Like I said, both of these are good ideas. Both of these take time. But in the meantime, people are going to suffer doing that before this comes about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, I've seen reports here recently that they said even if they came to an agreement right now, it would still take 6 to 8 months before it would actually, like, these prices would actually start to go down. You know what I mean? So it's not like, okay, this happens tomorrow and everything's going back to normal. It's still going to take time. And so I was looking at another thing earlier when you was talking, Aaron. Back in the 70s, when there was a oil shortage. Now, at that point, it was just 5%. And at that 5%, you had gas stations closing down, fuel rationing, travel restrictions. You had all of that. Right now, we're looking at 20%, which is 4 times more than what was going on then, that's going on now. You know what I mean? So the And then I seen another thing the other day where it said that even right now with the higher prices that we're paying for gas, we still haven't seen what's the like the bigger part of this. Like we're just on the bottom part of it right now. We haven't even seen the biggest part of this yet. You know what I mean? So we're clearly, either way it goes, whether they come up with an agreement or they don't come up with an agreement, everybody's still going to be under the gun for a good period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. That's the reason why Larry thinks if they don't come to an agreement in 4 weeks, there's going to be a chain reaction to the world economies, and because people can't last, they're not going to make it.
Right. I mean, a lot of these places that are already struggling already have, hyperinflation in their economies. I mean, it's a house of cards right now for many, many places around the world right now. It's not just one or two countries even. It's a lot. There's
it's all
ramifications for this is massive.
Yeah, it's all because we're in a global economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if one country goes under, whatever they produce has a domino effect on other countries that rely upon it. So it's going to get bad, and I can see it coming. That's the reason I keep preaching prepping to people. It's about to get bad, and people don't even see it. That's the worst thing about it. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's the biggest. That's another big thing that we were discussing as well, because a lot of people really not paying attention as to what's really, really going on here. Yes, they know that the gas is going up. Yes, they know that. You know what I mean? Yes, they know that there's something going on in Iran with the Strait of Hormuz, and you know what I mean? And that's the reason why they know that. But let's just keep it all the way 100, because this is about the people like working moms trying to fill up their cars to go to work, or about a father trying to book a flight to go see his family.
Single mom going grocery shopping for her baby,
Right. This is about small business owners watching how their delivery cost is going up, wondering how they're going to be able to keep inventory. It's about food prices. It's about utility bills skyrocketing. It's about insurance, rent, jobs. Just with, like, for instance, we're going to be talking about Spirit Airlines here in a minute. That was 17,000 people that's now out of jobs. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, some of them can go to other airlines and stuff like that, but not all 17,000 of them. You know what I mean? So on top of everything else that's going on, and like we just said, this is just the small part of it. It hasn't escalated to what it is going to be right now. Gas prices, like I said, like 2 days ago, gas here was $4.18. Jumped from $4.18 to $4.28 overnight, and then went from $4.28 to the very next day $4.60.
It was a big surge. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's jumping just like that. Now, of course, I asked myself, hold on, how are you taxing me for gas you already got? You know what I mean? It's different if you actually get in the truck coming to you and filling up, and then, you had to pay a higher cost. So, of course, you had to raise your price. But the gas is already in your tanks. You know what I mean?
They're already there. But magically, the price goes up and immediately goes on to the consumer.
Right, immediately. And as I was driving, you see those prices fluctuate. You got $4.60, $4.70, $4.99. It's all over. You know what I mean? Not to mention the other 6,000 plus things that we use that actually use oil products in order to make, that you buy every day. That's also going to be affected. I mean, so it's not just gas that you got to worry about. It's way more than that. You know what I mean?
Basically everything.
Right. I mean, you also got to think about fertilizer, for instance. Okay. Fertilizer is short. Fertilizer that was here, they jacked the prices up super high. So what does that mean? Yield's going to be short this year. And then I found out that, did you know that when these farmers buy the seeds, you know, they go to the company and they buy the seeds that they're going to plant every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that, let's say they go and they plant their fields with the seeds, and let's say they have, so you got 1,000 seeds left, 5,000 seeds left, and you like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna hold these seeds over and plant them next year. You know, you're not allowed to use those seeds. It's only a one-time use.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know
One-
that either. It's a
one-time
one-time
use.
use.
One-time use. And if you use those seeds and get caught using those seeds, even if you get caught one time using those seeds, you are in a breach of contract with the seed company, and they can sue you.
Wow.
And there's been
Wow.
500 court cases, 500 court cases dealing with this. And every single court case, the farmer has lost. Every single one.
No way. Really?
Every single one.
Wow.
So if you have leftover seeds, you can't use them. Now, what they're also not telling you is that these seeds are all genetically modified seeds, and
Of
they're
course they
packed.
are. Wow.
So they go through, and the farmers got, of course, they got to buy these seeds. But like I said, once you use them, you're done. I even seen an article where there was 2 farms where their property met, and it was a fence that divided their fields.
Like a chain link or something like that, or just sure.
And some of the canola seeds from this farm
Jumped over.
went over to the other person's farmland and sprouted. This farmer over here wasn't growing canola, you know what I mean? But the wind, all that, blew seeds over there, and it grew on their side. That farmer, who was not growing canola, was sued and lost
What?
because those seeds were planted.
How do they even track that kind of stuff? Where, like, let's say a farmer is like uses his seeds and gets his product, and then he gets seeds from that sprout or whatever, and then he goes and replants. How do they track that? That's crazy.
You know what?
They
I've
have
been
feds out there
been
taking camera shots and shit.
no, you know what? I've been searching for the past couple of days, trying to figure out exactly how they're able to
Yeah,
do
that's
it.
crazy.
But it's like each year they have, it's different seeds that they give to them every year. And if you, so they know, you know, based upon what seeds they gave you, what they giving you the next year, because it's like a different batch of seed. You know what I mean? So
It's an updated version. It's version 36 now, you know?
basically, you know what I mean? So we sitting here talking about all this other stuff we can do, and you know what I mean, trying to go organic and watching for the different labels on the vegetables and stuff like that to see what's heavily pesticide and all that other stuff, when the seeds itself is genetically modified seeds from the rip. And if you get caught using them even one time, you are banned from buying seeds forever.
Wow. And I'm obviously guessing that there's a monopoly on seeds, I would assume. That's what I'm guessing from that, right?
Right.
Crazy.
But then too, you take on top of that the USDA just signed a $300 million deal with Palantir on April 22nd that centralized all the farmers' records. So
Wow.
so Palantir has every record for every farmer across the country.
Sounds like the medical system.
You know what I mean? So being the fact that we having this fertilizer shortage, crop yields is going to be low. You know what I mean? Not to mention a lot of the crops that we produce here, not only do we do they sell them here, but they also sell them abroad. You know what I mean? So if your yields are low, what happens? Food shortages. You know what I mean? And I hate to say this, but I figure between July and September, guarantee will probably be there be like this energy emergency where we're gonna have fuel rationing. You're gonna have food rationing. It's gonna be. I mean, this stuff is really gonna start peaking around that time.
So that's your prediction. You heard it here first, everybody.
But if you remember back probably 3 months ago, I said on one of the shows, March, July, November, those were going to be the 3 months that there was going to be escalation in those 3 months. So far, I was right about March. Now we're going to see what happens in July and November. But let's dip over into what happened with Spirit. So, of course, everybody knows the Spirit basically went filed for bankruptcy, liquidation news that kind of directly ties to a bigger point. So a lot of these news agencies reported that Spirit asked the bankruptcy court for approval of retention payments. And as they wind down and cited, major increase in fuel costs, jet fuel, tied to the global pricing pressure dealing with the Strait of Hormuz, which a lot of the airlines over in Europe and all, and they started canceling a lot of flights, started limiting a lot of flights that they were doing. Here in the U.S., you had Delta canceled a boatload of flights. Americans been doing the same thing. So give you something to think about, though, because Spirit Airlines wasn't just a cheap airline going under. Spirit was basically the warning sign. That was the last man on the totem pole. You know what I mean? Like, if anything happened, that's probably going to be the first one to go first.
That's right. And then you're up next,
right,
kind of thing.
So when that jet fuel start getting expensive, companies start to thin down their margins, trying to crunch numbers. You know what I mean? They raise the tickets a little bit, raise the baggage fees a little bit, but then that pressure spreads. It runs from one to the next. So now you have Spirit Airlines fans, and of course there was talk that they were asking for a government bailout, which fell through. And then I found out some other stuff dealing with this, dealing with that whole little bailout there. And it didn't fall through because the government just said, no, we're not going to bail you out. It was more of it was Spirit itself that actually said no. Because there was rumor, because there were rumor that what was asked of Spirit was that they wanted 90% of the stock in Spirit, and they also wanted to be able to use those planes for military transports.
Right, and this came from Trump, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump came out on a press briefing and was like, "Hey, he got asked it, and he's like, yeah, I mean, we'll probably end up buying them."
Right,
so.
right. But it was they wanted to use it as basically using the Defense Production Act and be able to basically militarize those planes, actually use half of the fleet just to deal with military transport, stuff like that, which in turn was turned down. And like, okay, well, you're going bankrupt, which they did. And you got 17,000 people that end up losing their job. But I also seen a report today that JetBlue may be on the verge of filing bankruptcy as well.
Oh, hell no. Oh,
Um,
Jesus.
So this is, the more this stuff here goes on, it's going to be a trickle down effect. You know what I mean? So you got all those people who was with Spirit that bought those tickets that end up losing their money. Or if you went through an actual site and you paid for your insurance and stuff like that, you were able to recoup, you know what I mean, some of your money and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't buy insurance, of course.
They lost their ass. I mean, when was the
Yeah, so
last
they lost
time?
that.
I've never bought that insurance. I mean, shit. You know,
Right. So
I'm taking the flight. You know.
I started buying that insurance a while ago, being the fact that something happened and I ended up losing my money. And so I started buying it, you know what I mean? Just because you just never know, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
I
so now
definitely am
you
going to
have
be
it,
starting to think about doing it myself, and when I fly next.
right. So now you have all these other countries, these other companies, American, Delta, Frontier, JetBlue, all of them, they trying to pull in all those passengers that had lost tickets and try to be able to work something out or whatever. But it's not going to save them, because if you can't get the jet fuel within reasonable prices, the only thing that you're going to possibly do is jack up the rates. Now, you
Absolutely.
flying American is already high as it is. Delta tickets
Expensive.
already high as it is. You know what I mean? Southwest too. You know what I mean? So a lot of people use, whether they may have talked trash about Spirit and Frontier, but a lot of people use them simply because it was a cheaper ticket. You can get where you need to
Economic.
go and get back.
And also, it's
You know?
great for free market as well. The more competition you have, that will bring prices down. And then when we see something like, even though I don't fly on Spirit, but for instance, that is still a terrible tragedy in this, because now there's less competition. So now there's going to be more ability of them to be able to monopolize I mean, they already do have it that way, but at least that gave kind of an out for passengers to be able to fly, safely, and be able to go to where they want to for a fairly cheap price. But now we've
Mm-hmm.
lost that completely. So for a free market level, that's terrible.
Right. Yeah, I kind of called that the Spirit effect, because it kept a lot of the prices lower across a lot of those routes, because the competitors that they had to go against, you know what I mean, they had way higher prices, you know what I mean? So they were getting a lot of the people that couldn't pay, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 for a ticket. Well, they can get a ticket over here, pay, $150, $200, you know what I mean, if you got it at a reasonable time, and be able to still make your trip. But with this collapse here, dealing with them, this is that's going to affect a lot of people, especially a lot of middle class people, because those smaller airlines like that, you got Spirit and Allegiant and Frontier, they were catered towards middle class budget flights, to get from point A to point B and not have to spend a fortune to do it. And the fact that you see now that JetBlue is talking about this, that tells you that that's not just a Spirit going bankrupt type issue. You know what I mean? And then I seen on one of the shows earlier where they say, well, it was Biden's fault because they should have let JetBlue and Spirit merge in 2022, and the fact they didn't merge in 2022, that's the reason why. Bullshit. That's not the reason why. If you can't afford the fuel to go in the planes, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? You got prices, you have overhead. You know what I mean? You have paychecks, payroll, pilots, flight attendants.
Yeah, this is not just a Spirit problem. It's an all
everything
problem.
everything goes into it. So once you started adding jet fuel prices skyrocketing, that interferes with your margins to the point it's like, okay, we can't do all these flights and be able to, make any money off of it. We're going to lose our ass. And that's exactly what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Now they're talking about they're going to start cutting to where it's not going to be a whole lot of straight through flights. They're going to be layovers, and because of the fuel that a lot of these planes are not going to be doing straight through flights. So that's going to be another pressure on everyone, because now, a lot of people like the straight through flights. They don't like to go from Florida to Atlanta and sit there 3-4 hours and then get on another plane and go
some bullshit.
where you're going to go. Yes, but that's what's going to end up happening. You know what I mean? And as these prices continue to grow, it's going to start getting tighter there, to the point that they're going to start decreasing the number of flights that they're going to be able to do. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that's going on that's at stake right now. And like I said, it's everywhere. You know what I mean? It's not just here. You know what I mean? We're only seeing what's going on here. But when I look at a lot of the news broadcasts and stuff like that overseas, over in the UK and stuff like that, and those people over there,
they're really struggling.
Way worse than what we are right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you looking over at the Philippines, they're doing fuel rationing. They cutting electricity off at certain times. That's happening in multiple countries already. What happens? You're going to have to start getting this stuff in order. You know what I mean? And the only way you're going to be able to get a lot of this stuff in order, that you're going to have to, trying to change the dynamic here. And that opens it up. Remember what we said months ago, that in order for them to bring in the CBDC and all this other stuff that they wanted to bring in, what would they have to do? They would have to make everybody get to the point that was the only way that you can get out, is to go this route.
Yeah, we talked. All of us, we talked about how that would force the hand to where now people have to do it. There is no option, because what are you going to do? Not go onto a central banking system, or are you all going to just die because you can't even get any type of resources? Yeah,
absolutely. Aaron, you had a thing on there where you was talking about the stock market and the fluctuations dealing with that. You wanna jump on that one?
Yeah, right now the oil stocks are down sharply, and again, the markets react based upon confidence. And anytime anything bad happens in the world, if you notice, the very next day the stock market gets severely hit. And depending upon the severity, if people's confidence is down, they sell off their stocks and they get liquid. I can tell you right now, if someone used something as small as a backpack nuke, and that's the smallest nuke you could have in Ukraine right now, there would be a massive sell-off on Wall Street. There'd probably be no buyers. Everybody would be trying to get liquid because they'd feel we're getting ready to go into World War III and they want their money. It would be a mass panic. Right now, the Federal Reserve, and we said it before, if they cut rates right now, inflation goes out of control again, and we could actually end up in hyperinflation. If they choose to raise rates right now, it's going to damage the markets. That's what happened that created the Great Depression, when they raised the rates, and unemployment's going to go way up, because as companies shut down, automatically unemployment goes up. That happened during the Great Depression. You had 1 out of every 4 workers lost their job. That was 25% unemployment. You had 9,000 banks that failed. Factories shut down, unemployment went up. You had corruption. You had internal division within the nation. Farmers had to burn their crops in the fields because they couldn't afford fuel. Now, what are the farmers saying now? They're saying that they can't afford the diesel, so they can't plant. They can't afford the fertilizer. Federal Reserve raised rates because of greed, easy credit, risky speculation. What do we see going on now? In stock market, risky speculation, because the market's at all times high. We see easy credit. We see greed going on. Some of these gas prices going up. We haven't felt the waves of this war yet. We're looking at still another 4 to 8 weeks before we even feel the ripples of it. So these prices going up is straight greed. Um, the difference between now and back then is back then the United States was a manufacturing power. We were manufacturing to the world, and uh, we were in a position of power when we went to that crisis. Today, we're 39 trillion in debt, and there's so many other companies, I mean, other countries that are tied into our banks, into our markets and things, that if we cough, the world catches the flu. And that's going to be the bottom line. It's going like that guy named Fink said, there's about to be a chain reaction in the next 4 to 8 weeks. So people need to be getting themselves ready. I mean, like right now in Iran, their economy's in a death spiral because of this war. Talks have stalled. They have high food costs. Now, Iran imports a lot of food because they can't grow it because of the desert climate. Businesses are closing, and unemployment is high. Um, the money's lost more than 50% of its value. The internet business that they were doing is now down. Cost of living has gone up 67% in 1 month, just a month of April alone. That means every time you lay your head down in bed, the next day you get up or every other day, everything's going to cost more than what it cost before. Uh, the military unit they have on Karg Island, they haven't been paid in 3 weeks.
Oh shit.
And because of that, people are holding on to their money, which creates what is called stagflation. So that means the economy is not moving at all. And that's not good for a nation. Money moving is what makes an economy. If everybody's holding on to their money, nobody's spending anything, and if prices keep going up every day, I mean, you're doomed to failure. Now, here in the United States, we got the high gas and jet fuel prices. They said the national average when I checked today, they said was $4.10, but in my area, it's $4.99 a gallon. So that might have been on
Damn.
May. It might have been on May 1st, but it isn't today. Higher diesel prices, shortages on consumer products, which is going to mean higher prices. You're also going to see, like you said, rationing. You'll go to a store and it'll say one per customer, two to a customer. When you see that, that's an indication stuff is running out. So you better acquire what you can while you can get an unlimited amount versus wait till the rationing happens. Higher utility bills has occurred, and they're talking about a 15% more increase in the coming months. Food is going to be 20% higher because of the food shortages that they're expecting around the world. There's no fertilizer. We got a steel shortage. U.S. oil stocks, like I said, plummeted. And there's been a spike in mortgage rates that has driven home sales to its lowest point in months because of this war. The markets are reacting to this. They're not favorable to it. Their confidence is going down. I've seen some fund managers or some people with some real money. They've been getting liquid. They're selling off stuff. So, and I know one guy that's a podcaster. Um, he told me today that he's selling off every stock he's got. He's not taking no chances of being caught with it at the end. But people have to decide what's going to be best for them. But you better be getting ready to batten down the hatches for the storm that's coming, because it's going to be nasty. And even if like you said, if this war ends today, it's still going to take so many months for it to even get close back to being normal. So it's going to get sporty.
I know this sounds crazy, but this is where I buy more. But
No. It's good.
In all reality, though, you got to know where you're buying. Though, if you're buying, not top level companies, that's the
Right.
problem. Is most people are not holding like Coca-Cola or Nvidia. Well, maybe Nvidia, but Apple, Amazon, stuff like that. Those things are going to hold and weather the storm, but there's going to be all those companies below them that basically go underwater and unfortunately will go under for sure. And people that own stock on that is going to lose their ass. That's why, for me, I look for longevity when I invest in business, not necessarily like, hey, I want to make a quick dollar on this. I look at it from a business standpoint. What's going to make me money 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line? So for me in particular, on the way that I invest, I would be investing more.
Well, we talked about for a lot of, a long time about dealing with, gold and silver, tangible assets, stuff that you can actually hold in your
Totally.
hand. This here is like a precursor to one of them situations that we were talking about. That when everything folds, you have to have something in your hand that you can actually use. Actual gold stock or silver stock means nothing when the lights go out. It's what you actually have in your hand that you can carry along with you. Now there's about 10 things that I had just jotted down while you were talking, Mike, that what could happen if this continues like it's going right now. So number one, we got higher gas prices. Right now, you said it's $4.99 in Dayton, Ohio right now. So that's getting was it $4.99.9. You might want to say $5.
Yeah.
So you got higher gas prices. You're gonna have higher airline tickets, more airline route cuts, which I just talked about a few minutes ago. Shipping delays. Amazon probably not as much because they got the, they going all with the electric vehicles and all that stuff, but they still have flights. They running back and forth across the country and stuff. So yes, expect some delays in the shipping, higher grocery prices, stock market volatility, which Aaron spoke of brilliantly. More layoffs in travel, retail, logistics, and small businesses. More government intervention, which we know that this is what this is coming to. More global military escalation, because these countries are going eventually, it's going to hit a tipping point dealing with this oil. And more people are going to get involved, not because they're trying to be friends or they're trying to be allies. Their country is suffering. Their people getting at them. So they got to do something too. You're going to start having protests, riots, and stuff. You're going to start seeing from around the world about stuff that's going on right now. And most importantly, more pressure with families here that's already living paycheck to paycheck as it is. So that's another strain that you're going to be imposing. Now, I'm not
There's
telling you
people that can't even last without, if they miss their one paycheck, it's over. Imagine it's going to be hard for people that are already prepared, let alone for those type of people, right?
Exactly. Now, with all this being said, for the past hour that we've been sitting here talking, and we're gonna slim it down here in a minute, but we need to get this out first. So I'm not saying what I've been saying, Mike, Aaron. They're not saying what they've been saying to make you panic. What we're telling you is to move smarter. Watch your fuel costs. Watch your food budget. Watch your travel plans. Don't overextend yourself right now. Build emergency cash if you can. Keep extra essentials in your house. Pay attention to what industries are being hit, because the people who can see the wave early make better decisions than the people that wait at the front door and wait for the wave to hit them. So we're going to trim down the show for the evening, and I'm gonna let Mike and Aaron give their final thoughts. But this is a show, like I said, we've been kind of building this up throughout the weeks because there's different stuff that's going on. But I need you to really pay attention to what's going on right now, because there's way more to this than we know. There's way more that's going to be explained to us, because they don't want you to know. But like I just said, the sooner that you realize that this wave is coming and do what you need to do for yourself, for your family, for the people that you care about. Govern yourselves accordingly. I mean, it's not gonna, like I said, these prices are going high every day. I mean, start stacking up on and rationing. Start stacking up on these food staples, water, stuff like that. Stuff that you're gonna need because it's coming. Whether you want it to come or not, it's coming. I mean, and a lot of you has been hanging out with us for almost 2 years now, and you've heard us have many shows where we've talked about this, and we bought this on up. I remember when we first started talking about this, they were saying, "Oh, this is conspiracy theory, and y'all just telling us this to make us scared." Now you see that what we're talking about, that we've been talking about all this time, has been true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I hope that a lot of you that watch faithfully have listened to what we said and actually took heed and done what you need to do. So, like I said, appreciate you all for coming out like y'all come out every week. Like, follow, share, subscribe. We're trying to get to 100,000 on the Dominant Effect. Go on there, hit that subscribe button. We need to start getting this stuff out to as many people as possible. And we can't do that without your help. So hit that follow, hit that button, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends, your co-workers, your family, everybody. Check it out. Because everything that we've been saying has been absolutely, positively 100% true. And if you keep listening, we're going to keep telling you more of it. So, appreciate you. Peace, love, everybody. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, my dad he raised me with the belief that a hint to the wise is sufficient. We're not selling you fear. We're selling you actually facts. And if you're not aware of it, we want to raise awareness so that you will know about it. I mean, look at the possible things that could happen. We got the dollar collapsing. We've got possibility of terrorism inside the United States. We got a virus on a cruise ship called the Hunter virus. They won't even let them dock nowhere. There's no cure for it. There's no treatment for it. No nation wants that. Is that going to be the next pandemic? And I'm going to tell you this, the Hunter virus still don't appear just out of nowhere. I think somebody released a weapon on that cruise ship myself. But we're looking at inflation, higher costs of everything going up, education's going up, homes are going up. And there's so much going on that when it goes down, it's going to be a chain reaction, and you're caught in the middle and you're being attacked 360 degrees all the way around you, different things coming at you all at once. Are you prepared? Can you say, because I I divide people in two categories: the people that saw it coming and the people that didn't, because panic is going to ensue with the ones that didn't see it coming. The ones that did say, I was ready for it. I'll stop there.
Listen, everybody, I can't thank each and every one of you guys enough for showing love and engagement into the show. Make sure you guys double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. Also, if you guys are on my side, make sure you guys go and check out the Diamond Effects YouTube page. I dropped the link for you guys, as well as the Diamond Effect podcast website. Make sure you guys check that out as well. Listen, just like these gentlemen are saying, it's about preparedness. This is not the time to be going out and buying a $150,000 truck right now. It is not the time to make, silly decisions with your money. That's basically what we're getting at here. And always go for tangible assets like these gentlemen were talking about. Gold and silver is always a great thing to get yourself into. And if you haven't gone into it, it can be intimidating to understand what you're looking at. But I promise you, it's one of those things that will pay off. Just being able to hold its currency or hold its value rather than fiat currency, right? So markets can be manipulated, and even gold and silver a little bit, but at least gold and silver, you have a fighting chance. And make sure that you guys aren't buying shorts or any type of stock within that shit. If you're going to buy into the stock market, like I have as well, make sure you're not buying gold and silver shorts and stuff like that. You don't need to do that to yourself. Buy tangible. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. So anyways, listen, this is all about preparedness and giving you guys the facts. And this is what it's all about, man. So thank you guys. And if you guys are on my side, make sure you guys stick around. We're going to be raiding our buddy Flow State. He's live right now. So let him know we're coming through with the raid. All right. Much love, honor, respect, everybody. We'll see you guys here in 7 days. Much love.